I was always the other daughter, the one who didn't need much attention. My younger sister, Helen, had asthma, so most of the focus was always on her. While she struggled to breathe, I struggled with being invisible in my own home. Every morning was the same. Mom would rush straight to Helen's room to check on her. "Helen, sweetheart, how are you feeling today? Let me check your temperature," she'd say, sounding really worried. "Don't forget your inhaler. Should I call Dr. John?" I'd stand in the hallway, already dressed for school, just watching. No one checked on me. I made my own lunch, usually a sandwich and an apple. Helen, on the other hand, got special meals made with all her favorite foods. Dad was no different. He worked extra hours to pay for Helen's medical care. When he came home, the first thing he'd do was go straight to her room. "How's my little fighter doing?" he'd ask, walking right past me without a glance. This routine went on for years. While Helen went from one doctor to another, I learned how to take care of myself. I did all my schoolwork alone, packed my own bags for field trips, and dealt with all the ups and downs of being a teenager, without help. Mom didn't work. She said she was too busy looking after Helen, like her full-time nurse and spokesperson. By the time I was in my last year of high school, I had top grades and big dreams. I applied for college scholarships without telling my parents. They were too busy taking Helen to another doctor to notice anyway. The day I got my full scholarship letter, I ran home, excited to tell them. I found Mom in the kitchen, making Helen's special allergy-free dinner. "Mom, I got a full scholarship to State University. You and Dad won't have to pay anything," I said with a big smile. She didn't even look up. "That's nice, dear. Can you set the table? Helen needs to eat on time with her new medicines." That moment told me everything. I finally understood I'd never be their main focus, no matter how hard I tried or what I achieved. But instead of letting that break me, I used it to push myself even harder. I didn't need their attention or approval anymore. I had something much better, my freedom. When I left for college, Mom was too busy with Helen's latest health problem to say a proper goodbye. Dad just handed me some gas money and said, "Drive safe." College passed like a dream. I focused on my classes, made real friends for the first time, and graduated with honors. Right after graduation, the marketing team at Reynolds and Company hired me, and suddenly I was earning more money than I had ever seen in my life. During my college years, I hardly heard from my parents. Every now and then, Mom would text asking if I was okay, but it always turned into a long message about Helen's latest health issue. But things changed after I started working. About 7 months into my job, I got a call. "Kelly, honey," Mom said in an unusually sweet voice I'd never heard her use with me. "Your father and I are in a bit of trouble. Helen needs some new treatments, and the medical bills are a lot." I interrupted her. "How much do you need, Mom?" "Oh, just $3,000. We'll pay you back next month." They never did. Not for that loan or the next one or the one after that. But honestly, I didn't mind too much. For the first time, I had something they needed, and somehow that made me feel seen, even if just a little. Then I met Eric. He made me laugh all the time and always looked at the bright side of life. We dated for a year, and then he proposed to me, right in the break room at work, hiding the ring inside a coffee cup. When we told my parents we were getting married, Mom's first response wasn't happiness. Instead, she said, "Oh, but Helen's having some health problems right now. We might not be able to help much." I smiled and said, "We don't need anything." I told her clearly, "We're handling everything ourselves." And we did. Eric and I had a small, beautiful wedding with just our closest friends. We paid for everything on our own. Afterward, we took a simple honeymoon to the beach and came back ready to start our life together. We both worked hard and saved every bit of money we could. In 3 years, we had enough for a down payment on a small apartment. For years later, we had fully paid it off. One evening, while sitting on our balcony watching the sunset, Eric said, "We should have a baby." I looked at him, this amazing man who had given me everything I missed growing up. He gave me real love, support, and a true partner in life. "Yes," I said. "We should." Our daughter Lauren was born on a spring morning, healthy and perfect. Eric was the happiest dad I had ever seen, taking photos of every little thing she did. When Lauren was 3 months old, Eric got a big promotion at work. "Just one business trip," he said, kissing her forehead. "4 days in Milwaukee, then I'll be back." I drove him to the train station that morning. That was the last time I saw him. The call didn't come from Eric. It came from the railway company. There had been an accident. The train had derailed. There were no survivors. The first few weeks after Eric died felt like a fog. I moved through the days like a ghost, feeding Lauren, changing her, trying to keep us both going, even though I felt empty inside. Then the insurance company called about Eric's life insurance. But what I really needed wasn't money. I needed help. I called my mom. My voice shook. "Mom, I can't do this alone. Could you help me with Lauren? Just for a few months? I'll pay you whatever you want." There was a long pause. "Oh, honey," Mom said, and for a second, I thought she might say yes. Then she added, "You know I'm not as young as I used to be. Taking care of a baby is hard. And, with my blood pressure, I can't take that risk. Maybe you could hire someone. You have the insurance money now, right?" Her words hit me like a slap. I thought about all those years she spent taking care of Helen. How she didn't work because Helen needed her full-time. But now, when I needed her, when her granddaughter needed her, she said no. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I'll figure something out." And I did. I found a wonderful nanny named Diane. She loved Lauren like her own. The insurance money made it possible. I had enough money to give my daughter the best care. Slowly, we started to settle into a new routine. Lauren grew from a baby into a happy toddler, and every day, she looked more like Eric, especially her smile. Then one day, I got a call about Helen's engagement. "Your sister is marrying Brian Johnson," Mom said excitedly. "His family owns that big real estate company. Can you believe it?" "That's great," I said, watching Lauren play on the living room floor, stacking her blocks. "I'm happy for her." But the next call wasn't so cheerful. Dad sounded worried. "Kelly, we need to talk about Helen's wedding," he said. "We're taking out a loan using the house as security." When he told me how much, I felt sick. "Dad, no. That house is your home and your future. You can't risk everything for just one day." "Now listen here," he said in that serious voice I remembered from when I was a kid. "We're not going to let the Johnsons think we can't give Helen a proper wedding. We already signed the papers." I tried to talk them out of it. I even offered to help pay for a smaller, simpler wedding. But Mom got upset. "You don't understand, Kelly. This is Helen's big day. She deserves her dream wedding. We can't let her new family think we're poor or ordinary." I thought about my own wedding, small, simple, and perfect. Eric and I had paid for it ourselves. We were proud to start our life without any debt. But Helen always needed more. Helen's wedding was exactly what I expected. Huge, flashy, and over the top. And according to Mom, it was absolutely perfect. Then Helen and Brian moved to Providence. And just like that, their perfect daughter wasn't so perfect anymore. She won't even answer our calls. Mom cried over the phone one evening. We took out that loan for her, and now she won't help us pay it back. I wanted to say, "I told you so," but I didn't. I just said, "That must be really hard, Mom." Little by little, my parents started calling more often, not just when they needed money. They wanted to see Lauren. They invited us for Thursday dinners. They even remembered my birthday for the first time in years. It felt good, like maybe we could finally be a real family. I started helping them more. I paid some of their bills, bought groceries, and for their 36th wedding anniversary, I surprised them with a 3-week vacation to Louisiana and a new car for Dad. "You're such a good daughter, Kelly," Mom said, hugging me. It was the first time she had ever done that. I couldn't remember the last time Mom hugged me like that. Then Dad got really sick. It was something with his heart, and he couldn't work for months. One evening, after I had put Lauren to bed, they asked me to come over. "We're going to lose the house," Dad said quietly. His voice sounded weak. "We can't make the loan payments without my income." Mom was crying. "We don't know what to do, Kelly. We're already behind on the payments. Move in with us, Mom suddenly suggested. We can help with Lauren after school and you can help with the loan payments. Please, sweetheart, she added. We don't want to lose our home. I thought about my own apartment, my freedom, the life I had built for myself, and Lauren. I don't know, Mom, I said. It's a 1-hour drive to work from here. Please, Dad said again, and I saw real fear in his eyes. We'll figure it out. Lauren would love having her grandparents around. And they were right about that part. When I told Lauren we might move in with Grandma and Grandpa, her face lit up with joy. Within a month, we moved in. I found good renters for my apartment, a young couple with stable jobs who signed a 1-year lease. Lauren was thrilled, running around the house like it was a magical castle, exploring every room. I started paying the loan and covering most of the house expenses. Mom changed almost overnight. She became the loving grandma she had never been before, picking Lauren up from school, helping with her homework, making her favorite snacks. Look what Grandma made for you, Lauren, she'd say, holding out a tray of fresh cookies. Lauren would smile so big, and I'd try not to think about all the times I came home as a child to an empty kitchen and no one there. For a while, everything seemed okay. Dad slowly got better. I got used to the long drive to work, reminding myself it was worth it to see Lauren happy. Each time I made the loan payment, I reminded myself I was helping my parents keep their home. But there was always a little voice in my head asking, how long will this last? When will something go wrong? After Dad went back to work, I noticed Mom started making excuses. My back hurts today, Kelly. I'm not as young as I used to be. It's just too tiring to keep up with Lauren. Then one morning, she finally said it clearly. I think you should hire a nanny. I just can't handle this anymore. So I did. I hired Janet, a kind older woman who got along with Lauren right away. And every morning, as I drove that long hour to work, I started to wonder, why was I still living in my parents' house? I had a perfectly good apartment across town, but every time I brought up moving back, Mom would bake her famous apple pie, the one Lauren loved most, and say things like, oh, but we love having you both here. Don't we live so nicely together? Lauren would smile, her face covered in apple filling, and I'd hold back my frustration for one more month. This went on for 3 years. Then one evening, after Lauren went to bed, Mom and Dad sat me down. Honey, Mom began, her eyes already filling with tears, we still have 2 more years left on Helen's wedding loan. Dad added quickly, we know it's a big favor, but could you stay until it's paid off? We're so close to being done. I thought about my long drive to work, how my life had been paused for years. But then I thought about how happy Lauren was living with her grandparents. Okay, I said. 1 more year. I called my tenants and extended their lease. Then came the day everything changed. After a long day at work, I walked up to the house and saw Helen standing at the front door, very pregnant. Move away from the door, Helen. Mom yelled from inside. You'll catch a cold in that breeze. Helen gave me a smirk and stepped aside. Well, look who's here. Inside, it felt like stepping into the past. Mom was fussing over Helen, fixing pillows, checking her temperature, asking if she needed anything. I made your favorite dinner, Helen, she said sweetly. And there's special tea for the baby. Then during dinner, Helen dropped her news. I've decided to have the baby here, she said. So, you and Dad can help with the newborn. Mom lit up like a Christmas tree. Of course we will. We'll help with everything. I sat there frozen, my fork in midair. Suddenly, I remembered the night I called Mom after Eric died, begging for help with 4-month-old Lauren. You know I can't risk my health taking care of a baby, Kelly, she had said back then. I looked at Mom and, for the first time, truly saw it. I saw what I had been pretending not to see for years. Nothing had changed. Nothing would ever change. Helen would always be the one they rushed to help, and I would always be the one expected to understand. For the next 3 weeks, I watched it all happen again, just like when we were younger. Mom served Helen breakfast in bed, made her doctor's appointments, and filled the kitchen with all her favorite snacks. The monthly apple pie, the one Mom always baked to make Lauren and me feel welcome, was gone. And then came the moment that pushed me too far. When I overheard Mom and Helen talking about turning my room and Lauren's room into a nursery, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I walked into the living room where everyone was sitting. So that's it? You're just going to act like the last few years didn't happen? Like Helen didn't leave you with a huge loan that I've been helping to pay? Helen rolled her eyes. Oh, great. Here comes perfect Kelly to save the day. Helen, sweetie, don't get upset. It's not good for the baby, Mom said, fussing over her. No, let's talk about this, I said firmly. Let's talk about how you mortgaged your house for her big wedding and then she disappeared. Let's talk about how I've been making those loan payments while she was off enjoying her life. That's none of your business, Helen snapped. No one asked you to pay anything. If you're so unhappy, why don't you just go back to your precious little apartment? Kelly, Mom cut in, pushing me gently toward the door. Why don't you go to the store for us? We need a few things. She shoved a shopping list into my hands. It'll give everyone a chance to calm down. I felt like a child being told to leave the room, but I went anyway, hoping the fresh air would clear my head. 25 minutes later, I came back with the groceries and stopped in shock. Lauren was sitting on the front steps crying. Around her were bags and boxes, all our things thrown outside. Mommy, she ran to me sobbing. Aunt Helen yelled at me. She said we had to leave. And when I cried, she scared me and pushed all our stuff outside. Something inside me broke. I rushed into the house. How dare you? I shouted. How dare you treat my daughter like that? Kelly, calm down, Dad said. No. I'm done staying quiet, I yelled. When Eric died, and I begged for help with Lauren, you told me you couldn't risk your health. But the moment Helen needs anything, you all jump to help her. I paid your bills. I helped pay your loan. I helped save your house. And this is how you repay me? By throwing my child out. Now listen here, Mom began. No, you listen, I shouted. I've spent my whole life being the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who's supposed to understand and wait while Helen gets everything. I gave you everything I had, and you gave me nothing but leftover attention, only when Helen wasn't around to take it. I threw the grocery bags across the room. Cans rolled across the floor. Eggs cracked. Vegetables scattered everywhere. Mom gasped. Helen just smirked. Dad's face turned red. Get out, he shouted. Get out of our house, and don't ever come back. You're no daughter of ours, Mom said, her voice cold. We never want to see you again. I stood there, breathing hard, staring at the people who were supposed to be my family. Then I turned around and walked away, closing the door on 29 years of trying to be enough for them. Out on the sidewalk, surrounded by bags and boxes we had packed in a hurry, I felt completely lost. Lauren held my hand tightly, her little face covered in tears. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, trying to think straight. Our apartment was still rented out for another year, and I couldn't just ask the tenants to leave right away. I had to give them 4 months' notice. I called a nearby hotel first, then ordered a big Uber to take us and our things. That night, after Lauren fell asleep in the hotel bed, I sat in the dark with my laptop, searching for a short-term place to stay. The next morning, I found a small furnished apartment that rented month to month. It was about 20 minutes from my office. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. While Lauren ate breakfast, I called my tenant. Hi, Anna, I said. I hate to do this, but I need to give you notice. Some things have changed with my family. Anna was kind and calm. Of course. We'll start looking for a new place right away. Take care, Kelly. The next 4 months felt strange. Our temporary apartment didn't feel like home, but at least we had a roof over our heads. Lauren was quieter than usual, dealing with everything in her own way. Finally, after what felt like forever, Anna called and said they had found a new place. Exactly 4 months after we were thrown out of my parents' house, Lauren and I returned to our apartment. The moment I turned the key and stepped inside, something changed in me. This was our home. Our safe place. No drama. No walking on eggshells. No feeling like I had to fight for love or respect. We're home, I said. Lauren ran from room to room, smiling and playing with the toys and books we had left behind. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat down and looked at our finances. We were in good shape. Better than ever, actually. Without sending money to my parents, I had extra savings each month. I opened a new bank account just for Lauren's college fund and set up automatic transfers to add money each month. Over the next few weeks, we settled into a happy routine again. Lauren returned to her old school, and her friends were so excited to see her. I focused on my job and earned a promotion I had been too distracted to go after while living with my parents. 7 quiet months passed. Lauren and I found our rhythm again: school, work, movie nights, and weekend adventures. No guilt. No tension. No more painful family drama. Just us. Then one Thursday morning there was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I looked through the peephole. My heart dropped. It was my parents, and they were holding a baby. Even though I knew better, I opened the door. "Kelly, please," Mom said, already crying. "We need your help," Dad added. He looked older, more tired than I remembered. Then they told me everything, standing right there at my door. I hadn't even invited them in. Helen's husband had found out she was cheating. A DNA test showed the baby wasn't his. He divorced her and said he wanted nothing to do with the child. And Helen? She left the baby with my parents and disappeared. "We don't know where she is," Mom sobbed. "She won't answer our calls." "We can't do this alone, Kelly," she continued. "We need you to move back in. Help with the loan payments. Help with the baby." "I'm too old to take care of an infant," Mom added, giving me that same tired look I'd seen so many times before. "Please, sweetheart. If you don't help, we'll lose the house." I looked at them. Really looked. Mom's fake tears. Dad's desperate face. The innocent baby in their arms. And suddenly, everything became clear. "No," I said quietly. Mom stopped crying instantly. "What?" she asked, shocked. I said no. I repeated. "I won't help you. Not this time." "How can you be so cold?" Mom raised her voice. "We're your family. We'll be out on the street. They'll take our house. All because you're too selfish to help." Doors in the hallway started opening. Neighbors peeked out to see what was going on. "You want to talk about selfish?" I said, my voice calm but firm. "Let's talk about how you refused to help me when Eric died and I had a 4-month-old baby. Let's talk about how you used your house as a loan for Helen's big wedding, and how Helen ran away and left you with a debt, just like she left her baby now. This isn't me being heartless. This is you finally dealing with the results of your own choices." "How dare you?" Dad began. "No, how dare you?" I cut in. "You created this mess with your constant favoritism. You let Helen think she could do anything and never face consequences. And now, you want me to clean up her mess again?" "No." "I'm done." "We're your parents," Mom cried. "No," I said firmly. "You're Helen's parents. You made that clear the night you threw my daughter out like she didn't matter. Now leave. And don't come back. Forget my address. Forget my phone number. Forget I exist. Just like you did for most of my life." I closed the door on their begging voices and leaned against it, breathing hard. Through the door, I heard nothing but silence. I could still hear Mom shouting through the door, but it didn't bother me anymore. "Mommy." Lauren stood in the hallway, watching me. "Are you okay?" I walked over and hugged her tightly. "Yes, baby. I'm better than okay. I'm free." That was the last time I ever saw my parents. I don't know what happened to them, or to Helen or the baby. Sometimes Lauren asks about them, and I tell her the truth. I explain that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from people who keep hurting you, even if they're your family. Now, our life is good. Lauren is doing great in school. I love my job. And together, we're building the kind of life I always wished for, a life full of real love, not guilt or pressure. Sometimes at night, I look at old family pictures and feel a small ache in my heart for what might have been. But then I look at Lauren, growing up strong, safe, and knowing that she is deeply loved, and I know, without a doubt, I made the right choice.